thankfully that pride thing's about over.
We're almost back to wearing dark colors. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez, joining you, all male, all the time. That's right. This podcast. What episode are we on, Robert? What are we? 366?
370.
370 podcasts. Have we ever had a woman on the show?
No, damn it,
I
because they
don't think
should
we
be
have.
in the kitchen.
Boom. So, all men, all the time. That's the name of this episode. Joining us tonight, he said, for a gun called the Prodigy, it sure needs a lot of work. It's Robert Wyatt.
Hey, everything needs work. Some just needs a little bit more loving. And she needs all the loving.
He's a virtuoso. Also, we need to instruct him on what music is. And he opens every conversation with, "What's your Wi-Fi password? My phone ain't turned on." It's Jared Stepp.
I'm not paying that much money for shit. I'm just you see how much people are charging for this, and you're just like, well, I got Wi-Fi. It's fine.
I got is there a McDonald's around here? I gotta make a phone call.
Yeah.
It's basically everything's turned into a payphone.
Listen, all I'm saying is there's once upon a time you couldn't be reached anywhere. You could only be reached at your house. How nice would that be?
It's fantastic.
All I'm saying is
hold on.
An austere professor, Ted Kaczynski, maybe he had some things right. Sure, he got a few things wrong, but maybe he had some things right.
We bring him up. 6 days later, he's dead. We brought him up. 6 days later, he's dead. I was telling people, maybe you should read it. Maybe it's not too far off. And remember, you could only be reached if you chose to, because you had to buy an answering machine. If you did not buy an answering machine, you didn't. And if you literally did not want to be heard at all, you took it off the hook, unplugged the cord from the receiver, put the receiver on the table. No one's calling you. It's the best.
You remember when you had to actually go find out a girl's home phone number?
Oh my gosh. And
then you have to call the house.
The testicular forward it to.
That's cold calling.
Yes.
Calling a girl you like and her dad answers and you're just like,
Hi, Mr. Jacobson.
There?
Is Andrea there?
Who the hell is this?
Man, you're not kidding. You know what? And that's why we were able to win wars. Just saying.
Why? I just remember when, I grew up not even that long ago, and it was sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Correct.
And now it's words are literally violence.
Correct. Well,
and if you're gay,
remember, the communists and socialists always like words are violence, because if words are violence, then you can use violence against words.
Who are also gay. See, we can just keep this going.
It is literally
Robert's on a rampage today.
Yeah, it's literally the excuse to beat your political opponents. Anyways, I decided since I sold that Canic, I should probably buy my own base pads and give the TTIs back to Tyrell. So I ended up getting some of these Arredondo base pads, these +5s.
Arredondo, I've never heard of them.
Yeah, so they've been around for a long time. It's a very lightweight polymer design, but the cool thing about the design of the Arredondos is this top part slides over the magazine, and then they give you a spring, a new spring, so it's very much a taller spring, a full power spring, and then the bottom clips in to the magazine. Therefore, you have no sliding plate or pin or screw that you have to worry about walking out.
That seems like a terrible design if you're trying to, in the field, want to, clean it or something like that. You usually don't have to with Glocks because they're not that bad.
They give you a tool with each one.
Sick.
You put it on the side of the magazine. You do a light little press. The base plate falls out. And you can clean it. And instead of having anything else to lose, you simply snap it on. Now, with their longer extended spring that goes in here, it is a longer spring that they give you. it will still give you 23 rounds. And both of the ones I bought, I got 23 rounds. So Mr. Nelson thought about one Aaron Lawson from Room Tactical and took out his Room Tactical follower, and I haven't shot it yet. But just to let you know, in the second Arredondo, this magazine holds 24 124 grain gold dots, which means it's the only combination I have found so far that will give me 24 rounds right off the bat with the Arredondos in 124.
How long is the mag?
It is built for USPSA, so it is under 140 millimeters. It is
Yeah, I'd put that on a gauge real quick.
I think what gives
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
Yeah.
I mean I'd be like, if somebody has a gauge, I'd be like, can we just throw this on there real quick?
So the bottom is the problem is with the other ones is they have to give you enough material on the bottom to bite a screw or a thread. But on the polymer, on the ejected molding of the polymer, you do not need that basis because it's all one piece. And so it is, and all they simply did was make the bottom part fatter to accommodate for the pins to go in there. So the other cool thing is too is that when I was on their website, I noticed that they sold +5s for the Glock PMags. +5 for the Glock 17 PMags and +5 for the Glock 19 PMags, and they run about $23 a piece. These are 40 for the Glock OEMs, but the other ones are pretty damn affordable. So if you're a guy who walked yourself into a PSA dagger and you got some deal that gave you 37 PMags with your dagger for $400, you can easily get yourself some Arredondo base pads. And so far so good. I shot them a little bit yesterday. Not with the Room Tactical Follow Winter yet, but 23 rounds with an actual plus power spring. And it's a pretty good little spring. It has a little bit of a nesting capability in it. As it kind of goes down there.
A lot of the more modern ones seem to kind of nest. Yeah, that's the right word. They seem to do that it's pretty cool.
So you're trying to get ready for our Glock match?
I am getting ready for the Glock match. I went out there and made both my 17 and 34 and made sure that they are zeroed. I got groups which were much larger than the last time I shot this Glock 17. I put a different guide rod and recoil spring in it. And
Whoa. I thought we were doing stock.
This is now, besides the milling, this is a stock configuration Gen 5 Glock 17. So I sat there and I shot it, and I was just like, this is very weird because the last time I shot that Gen 5 Glock and the last time I shot my Gen 5 19, I was getting an inch group at 15 yards with the same 115 grain ammo. And I will try this out next week, but my hypothesis is that with the lighter recoil springs on certain Glocks, that you'll have a degradation in accuracy. So one of the things I remember that Mossad talking about back in the day was the old 5906s, the custom shot 5906s from Smith & Wesson, and the Glock 30 were very accurate because they gave you these dual guide rods right out of the factory. And the Gen 5, because it has a Glock 19 lug, the lug is farther back on the barrel than on a Gen 4, so it's like right here instead of like right there, so you can use that barrel. So these are a little bit extended, and so I'm betting if you start lightening them up, you're going to have an early unlocking problem with them. But that's just a guess of mine. So something I want to try out before our Glock match and make sure I'm all ready to go with all the proper accoutrement. But I went out there and been messing around with my SIG SP 2022, and I put the picture on the Telegram and on my Instagram, and this little thing's a freaking shooter and a half. I mean, you wouldn't look at it with how clunky and big it looks, but I sat there and I shot a 3/4 inch group at 15 yards with irons with the thing from a rest to make sure that the Dawsons were on. And for a lot of people, these cheap SIG SP 2022s was like their first gun because they're like, oh, I can get a SIG and it's cheap. And
it was my first gun.
And like everyone kind of sells them and gets them away, but you sit there and you look at them now and you're just messing around with this, and I was like, this is a phenomenal pistol. It is just kind of one of those guns that you run it to every once in a while, and that's very misunderstood. and then you actually put it through its paces, and you're just like you start sounding old. They don't build them like they used to, and then I bought a police train in P220 so I can be like Robert De Niro in Heat, and this thing is
thick boy.
It's a 45. It's pretty thin, 8-round single stack. But when you spend 30 rounds zeroing and shooting groups with these little 9mm, and then you put this bad boy on the rest with 185 power factor ammo, snappier. I mean, definitely some more muzzle. Definitely some more muzzle energy out of the thing. But this thing has been absolutely. It's been fantastic, and it's just fun to sit there and have some of these kind of older pistols, which are really cool, and it's probably my favorite. Actually, handling wise, 45 caliber pistol I own. I adore these little things, these little classic SIGs. I think they're absolutely phenomenal. So, got some Dawsons on it, an E-squared grip, and just trying to get the point of aim, point of impact exactly where I want to on shooting this thing, and I was just having a ball. So, great week for me. Great week.
So when are you going to sell it?
The 220s on maybe the no sell category. I'm very much on the possibly everything I have. Like, I thought about what I would sell. I wouldn't sell anything. The only thing I really feel like I would buy right now would be another M&P to replace the one I sold. And I'm waiting for M&P to go on one of their special deals where it's like, buy an M&P, get 20. No, I don't want your M&P.
You want a metal one?
Not to buy it. I'm not buying it from you.
Between Jared and Tommy, you guys sell enough guns to qualify for an FFL.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think I got.
I know nothing.
I think I got 2 more this year, and then I'm like over. Like ever since I got to the Carry Optics game, all the other Carry Optics guns I've purchased besides the Glocks have found their way out of the inventory.
I've come to the realization, Tommy, that basically you buy a gun and then you take it to a match and then you sell a gun. So if you want to keep a gun long term, just don't ever take it to a match.
Yeah,
Big facts.
I could possibly do this, or like you could shoot it at a fun match and be okay with it.
No, don't even do that. Just don't. Just like put it in the safe.
It's dangerous, Tom.
Look at it a little bit.
Yeah.
It is.
Take it out, roll around on the ground, say Metal Gear a lot, and then you'll be fine.
Metal Gear. It is very hard since this was the first Carry Optics gun I bought, and it has been absolutely a phenomenal blaster. And I shoot the dang thing so well that they'll hold a candle to anything else besides the 9mm Glocks. I mean, they're fantastic.
Glocks are good.
Yeah, Glocks are they're okay. They are okay firearms.
Yep, they work, and we're still on for Carry Optics Glock Blasters Association. So if you are a fan of Slipsa and would like to participate, we will be all on a squad. And if you're not able to be on the squad, still feel free to let us know that you are participating in CO Glock. As stock as you can get it with a red dot and 140mm mag.
Glock Fest 2023.
Yeah.
Was it second weekend of July?
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, it's the second
boys.
weekend?
Well, because the first weekend of July is LTD, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, second weekend. Sorry, you say second
USPSA
weekend. I always think because I think of the only match worth going to is Slipsa. So I was thinking first
Ouch.
Slipsa, then second Slipsa. No, I like LTD.
Be nice, Robert. Be nice. All right. Well, that's.
I do know I like LTD. It's gotten to the point where I'm so like unwilling to travel unless I'm on a plane. If I have to go more than like 20 minutes to a match, I'm like, no, it ain't happening.
Unwilling to travel and also unwilling to talk to certain people at certain clubs. That's Robert's thing.
Wow.
Like that puts him down into Slipsa. So he's gotta he's out of places to go. So he's gotta kind of be good with Slipsa for a while. So he does things like set up a Wi-Fi network. So they think twice about throwing him out. They're like, oh gosh, damn it, who's gonna run the match? Just scores. Keep him in. Keep him in.
Just put up with him another week.
Here's nice.
Here's what I want out of Utah State, Robert, when you're having everyone sign up. Just have on the disclosure, where it says, click here and agree to whatever. I want you to put Ted Kaczynski's manifesto, just like 4 paragraphs down, and just fill the rest of it up. And just by clicking this, I agree to all terms and conditions. I think
I'm actually doing the shooter check-in, so this could happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it down and probably like the 11th or 12th paragraph in there in just small print. if you read this, you get a free prize. We'll just see.
Yeah,
We'll just see who actually
we'll
like
see
comments.
who catches it. Who catches it? They win.
Because apparently those things are worthless. Like I somebody was telling me that like you signing away these like disclaimers or they're like they just don't hold up in court. So it's like why do it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Makes
no,
people
I
feel
was
better,
I was telling you that
that's right.
the waivers really aren't that ironclad. People think that, oh, you signed a waiver, you are now safe.
No.
It has to be a very specifically worded waiver for it to actually hold up, and even then, there are plenty of ways to get around waivers. So waivers definitely are not the ironclad shield that many people think them to be.
I wonder if the families of those dudes that got squished really tiny on the Titan, I wonder if they're going to get through those waivers.
I'm still with Tom on that.
I swear to God, if you like, listen, I don't believe this. I really do. I don't believe this.
I really do.
I really do. If you were gonna pay somebody to disappear, what better place to do but to pay a guy $250,000 each, so you could like take your Bitcoin, go be with like the 22-year-old of your choice. Go to the bottom. It's all dudes. You go down to the bottom of the ocean. You pay this guy $250,000 each. You go to a boat that's offshore. Everyone gets on the boat. You go off to your new life in Morocco. They remote pilot the sub down to the bottom. It kabooms. Oh my gosh, it's too dangerous and too weird. We can't ever go down there and identify any of the bodies. Oh, all they posted on social media that they were in that thing. Oh no, what do you do?
Here's the problem, and I tend to want to agree with you because I think it's actually kind of cool. But here's the problem. Rule number one in any conspiracy is there can only be one. This is straight up some Highlander shit. Okay, there can only be one person, because if there's two, then it's gonna get out.
Yeah,
and that's just the way it is.
Eventually, one of those people would be found. So this is the I kind of half don't believe it. But the other part is too. It's just like I don't know. It wasn't like anyone got some like crazy deal that they wanted to take the media's eye off of for a little bit. I mean, there's nothing going.
I mean, nothing with Hunter or
nothing
Joe,
like nothing like that.
Hunter. Oh,
I just was thinking about how Call of Duty 4 is starting.
Oh, I deleted that thing. I'm on the hype train of on the Instagram of everyone putting "Leave Kids Alone" in the comments. Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I installed Battlefield that much. Anyway.
All I know is I am so happy that Bud Light is suffering, Target is suffering, Call of Duty apparently is suffering.
Go
I'm
broke.
okay with all of this.
You know what's not broke? Family-owned business, Aaron Dondo. Check them out. They got great base pads. Also, Robert, you had to unscrew something.
I had to unscrew something. Oh, shoot. Yeah, so my one of the guys in my church, he sent me a message and he sent me this picture and he's like, my son's trying to sell this this gun. It was a G45, and he stripped out the screws on the optic trying to get it out. And can you look at it? Sure, no problem, whatever. Brings it over, and it's just, you can tell that they used every tool in the toolbox to try and work on it.
Did they try cutting new slots in it with the Dremel?
Yes.
Should have.
Yes. And so I looked at it, and I have a tiny extractor set, but I lost it, and because that's what I do. I tend to buy things and then I quickly lose them, which is why I own two of the same gun.
Well, if you check this out on YouTube and freeze frame it, you could probably find it on Robert's shelf, but he doesn't have the attention span to find it on his own shelves. You look at the back of that room.
Hey, I have a lot of glorious piles. Apparently, that's an ADD thing. I didn't know about that. Anyway, so I put a picture in our group, and Tommy's like, "Oh yeah, get these this extractor kit," and I'm like, "Man, I used to have one just like that." And he's like, "Yeah, you told me to get it." I'm like, "Oh,
it's somewhere."
So I go turn around my house, never did find it, so I just bought another one, and man, sure enough, Tommy's like, "Yeah." So I messaged and he's like, "Yeah, I put red Loctite on it." And so Tom's like, "Yeah, just put the soldering iron onto it, leave it there a couple minutes, it'll cook off, and then use this extractor put it in, zip right out. Came out super easy, fantastic.
Nice.
And it was so nice just to be able to get that out of there and done. But
The,
that was nice.
the huge reminder to this is everybody, if we're playing the pistol optics game and we're going to still insist on screwing our optics in from the top with 2 screws, get a torque wrench, get a torque driver. Like, it prevents you from overdoing this. And the other part is too is like, if all you have to do to understand is if the optics company is actually serious and kind of knows what they're doing, is whether or not they give you Allen head screws to screw on your optics. If it comes with Allen head screws, do not buy that pistol. Do not buy that optic system. They
okay. That's the one we don't like.
Yeah, Torx head, like, and even like if you get something like that, like a T10 is even still kind of small for that. Like you'll see some of those T8s, like a T15 IP15 driver on those. Like that is the best way because you can it's not so much that you can apply a bunch of torque, but you can actually remove them pretty easy because once you have that driver that's big enough and you have the thread locker that's on there, and then you have whatever vibration or something that's kind of jar that on or over tightening from somebody else, those T15s allow you to remove it. So if you're buying your own screws, T15 Torx driver is the best way to pull those bad boys off.
Yeah.
But listen, all I'm saying is I've seen a lot of RMRs become loose, even with properly applied Loctite or Vibrotite and the torqued down to the Trijicon spec of 15 inch-pounds.
Yep.
But my RMR has never come loose because I used Ooga Dooga foot-pounds.
He said the okay.
The Ooga Dooga, as you go until you can't, and that bitch hasn't come off.
I mean, it's certainly a solution.
It's the Roberto Duran school of Loctiting. He once knocked out a horse and a woman each with a single punch. Like it doesn't matter what the tool is; it's just to use all force. This is
I know is the thing I do is I tend to use 243 mostly because I mistakenly bought this huge ass bottle from Amazon.
Yeah.
But I use that, and then who's this called? Pilot Gold Marker. It's just a gold marker pen, and then I mark it. I saw Alex, you do it, Jared.
Yeah.
And I just keep an eye on them, and then like every 6-7 months, I just pull them apart and throw the screws away and replace them.
The one thing that so 242, that's just a blue Loctiter. 243 is the titer, and it's also a sealant, so it will seal flat parts together. So that also helps things kind of stay on there. So if you have something that's like a dovetail mount or something like that, or has a screw, like 243 is a good solution for that. But this is the other argument for having a driver is it's free to just put it on and then torque it back down. I don't know where we got the idea that we were going to run these machines without maintenance. I changed an air filter today. I changed an oil filter. I changed the oil. I moved stuff around. I checked all the lights to make sure they were working before our trip. And it's maintenance.
You sell it
All
before
right.
you make
No, Tommy, this is a firearm. This firearm doesn't need anything except for the gun.
Not that gun.
And your snake oil gun lubricant.
Fancy lubricants.
No. So yeah, that was the other thing. So let's see. So I got my, damn it, what are these things called? Atlas. I got my Atlas base pads in, and then
he's holding a Springfield Prodigy, by the way.
Yeah.
Got a Prodigy, and it's running flawless. It's working really well. One thing I noticed is the chamber on this thing is a little bit shorter than what my CZs take, and
Wow.
so I actually went and tested out a bunch of different overall lengths, and ultimately went with the one that just plunked in here really clean.
What are we
and
talking,
then I took
like 1090 or 1080 or?
It was like 110.
Okay.
It was pretty short, but to be fair, the gallant bullets that I used, the shoulder on them is a lot longer.
Yeah.
And so I went out and shot 100. What was it, about 100 rounds, and had no problems with them. So guns running great. I mean, it's fantastic. So it's now to the point where I'm like, I'm okay with it. So but basically, the stuff that I've done to it is, let's see. So I have a Chile guide rod in there just because I happen to like that guide rod and I hated the 2-piece. I put different springs in there. It's got an extended firing pin. Kenny said that you should do that with these guns, so I put that in. Magwell, and that's it. I had to tune the extractor. I had to tune the extractor. Yeah, so it has the EGW Magwell. I had to tune the extractor, which I'd never heard of before, but that's a thing. And then the safeties were not fit particularly well from the factory. The detent for the safety was not great, and the
Jared's
fitting
at the Springfield Armory with a hammer, lines the pin, pop. There we go. Moving on. Ooga booga.
But I can't remember what the term is called. I think it's called the cradle. So I just had to fit the cradle. So the 2 pieces of the safeties together, and it's running great. I like it. It's running really, really well.
So limited optics for a little bit.
Just
for fun. Like, why not?
Indoors, yeah. Indoors, I will. I'll probably get through Utah State.
Yeah.
And then hop over. But I really enjoy shooting it. I would like to find one of 2 optics for this. Either
how's the hex?
What's that?
How's the?
It's fine. It's a fine optic. It's like all the stuff we do in competition. You got to run it a bit to really see if it's going to cock out or something. But so far it's fine. It's got a smaller window. It's kind of on the order of the RMR, but it works really well. It's a 3.5 MOA dot, and so far I'm pretty okay with it. I would like to either change it out for an SRO or that new 507 comp that everybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. That seems pretty interesting to me.
Yeah,
I've seen the dot with the, what is it, the 8 MOA with the dot in the middle.
Yep.
And it looks really solid. I mean, it's a very solid dot. So
yeah, the Holosuns, they almost seem very much more EOTech-y than they are other dots, like a RMR or a Delta Point. Very much seems like if you're used to a rifle, like an aim point dot or something like that. So like a kind of looks like a dot, and then like the
right.
The Holosuns always seem like they produce like almost a holographic, even though it's the same red dot technology. They give you a very sharp, kind of squarish dot on there, and that one has that circle. And honestly, the days of the SRO are very limited because of how good that Holosun is on the same footprint. And
Tommy,
it's a great optic. It's just how can you compete with an optic that's good
every time right now somebody says this is the SRO killer. This is the SRO. Oh, this is the reason that the SIG optic is going to be so much better. And by the way, the SRO is dead. And the guy who would know is Blanton. Yeah, we got to bring him up. But he's like done all of those reviews. He's done all those reviews, and he's like, yeah, the days of the SRO are numbered. But it keeps chugging along.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, yeah, but this and that and the other. And I'm like, I understand. I get that. But it keeps chugging along.
The Trigicon
just like Tommy's Glock.
Choo choo.
The SRO and the RMR will continue to be excellent products that people will choose because they want to pay an extra 100% for 10% more performance or durability of whatever they're going to get. But the problem
in my case, it's just reliability.
The problem is that you have all these other ones have like these kind of not fly by night, but let's say kind of on the 1 to 10 scale, level 6 durability products that are being pushed out, saying that they were going to replace the SRO. And I think the Holosun has proven themselves to be a very competitive, durable, duty level product. And that's what really kind of comes after that SRO. And like good, because if we get that, we'll start to see, like we started to see the RMR prices come down. We'll start to see those SRO prices come down when they have to play with Holosun. And it's just
right.
Like,
hopefully
it's good for us. Good for us. We win. Everybody wins no matter what they buy.
Yeah. No, and so if I could find either one of those, and fortunately it's on the same footprint. I have a plate already for the RMR footprint. I'd like to find one.
Well,
I
if
don't
you
actually care which. If it's a 5-ohmo SRO, I'm used to those. But if it's a if it's the 507, I'd be very happy with that too.
yeah,
Just something different.
the one thing is like you hear from some of the dealers who like if you know a dealer and he's got the friend price on that, you can find those for like 270.
Whew, it's not
And
bad.
yeah,
Nobody can find them though right now.
correct. Because it's the hottest thing that's come
I have
out.
like I have like 3 or 4 friends that are all Holosun dealers, and everybody's like, I haven't ever even seen one in any of the distributors that I use. So
Yeah.
I pre-ordered one from Kinsey's Optics for like 3 and change, and so I'm like, screw it.
Yep, it's is a fantastic optic to the Holosuns are great. The one Holosun that I am constantly impressed by is for my MP5. I bought a 510, which is their EOTech type competitor, and it's a beautiful window. It's got a beautiful dot. It's fantastic. It runs for 50, 60,000 hours. They are very hard to beat. Jared,
Yeah.
I did a lot of stuff this week.
all right, let's hit it.
The main thing that I did was I was able to take a class with a company called Centrifuge Training, and it was a 5-day class, and it was all about vehicle CQB is the name of the class. But it's about using cars as cover, et cetera, ballistics around cars, shooting through cars, shooting car pillars, shooting car windshields, passenger side glass, just all this stuff shooting. Basically, it's how to shoot around cars and win. The thing I like a lot about Centrifuge Training is they base all their stuff just on data, and they're not telling you this is how to do it, but they will say, hey, looking at over 9,000 officer involved shootings around vehicles, we find this trend. 68% of the time, if you're at the rear of the car when the gunfight starts, you win. If you're at the front of the car when the gunfight starts, you're likely to lose. That's just how it is. That's just what the data shows. So then they say, well, why is that? Oh, well, then ballistics, we shoot the cars. We see that shooting through a car, it's very difficult to go from the front to the rear, where it's easier to go to the rear to the front. And just they show all this stuff, and they're like, this is why, this is the data. This testing supports the data, so therefore we should be shooting from the back of the car if we can. And so it's just it was a very, very good class, had a lot of good instruction things. It was a lot of fun.
Let me ask you a question on that. I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, like, so of all the instructors and stuff that you've taken from, I mean, do the majority of them base all this stuff off data, or is like most of it kind of in the realm of, well, there was this one time I was in a firefight in Fallujah, so I am the tactical god, that kind of thing.
So, and that's kind of the problem is legacy instructors, most of what they teach, whether that's for police or whatever, it's all kind of based on anecdotal stuff or based on military tactics. Those are the two primary ways of teaching anything, really. Well, this is what we do. This is why. It's because the military does it this way and this way and this way. But obviously, a convoy ambush in Iraq, where you're responding to guys with AKs, RPKs,
PKMs, all that jazz.
Yeah, PKMs, RPGs, IEDs, all that, and you're at a distance of 200, 300, 400, 500 yards. Your response to that ambush is very different than you're sitting in a Ford Explorer and a guy's shooting at you from within 15 feet away. So it's obviously a very, very different different issue. And so using the tactics overseas that work overseas aren't necessarily giving us the wins that we want here in the continental US as cops. So Centrifuge is kind of one of the first training companies in the cop world to really just focus on data and say, look, we have all this stuff now. We have all these crime stats, all this stuff that we get from the FBI, from the feds, from it's called the UCR, which is this universal report that basically all police entities are supposed to send their stats in regarding shootings and all sorts of stuff. But they send that in to the feds, and then the feds compile it all. And so you can look it up right now. You can actually pull it up online and find out. That's where we get the information about, like, 200 people were killed with hammers, or 300 people were killed with ARs, or whatever. And so it's all available to the public. It's just a question of going through that data, finding information, and then using that information in a smart way. And so that was the whole class was basically it was more aimed at helping agencies set up curriculum to help them succeed in the future, and then showing them how to interpret data to create
policy and tactics.
policy and tactics, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a really good class. It was very, very physical. There's a lot of moving around the cars, and so obviously, if you're correctly conforming to cover, you're basically squatting the whole time, especially for a tall fucker like me. And the cars that we were using were all, instead of like Explorers or taller vehicles, SUVs, they were all like, because we just called a local tow company, asked them to help us out, and they brought us 6 cars to shoot up, and they were all these tiny, like a Dodge Stratus or a VW Jetta.
It was a Dodge Stratus and 5 Nissan Sentras. We know what it is.
A Toyota, what was it, the Echo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so these tiny cars. So it was rough on the legs for Jared. But it was
European police with all their tiny patrol vehicles.
Oh man, exactly. But it was a lot of fun. It was a good week. I learned a lot of stuff. Learned a lot of interesting things about human behavior, because that's basically how they kind of drive their classes. Listen, could we train someone to do this? Yes. But in order to do that, we would actually need 40 hours of good training to change this natural human behavior. We don't get that. We can't do that. So we have to adjust the training to go along with what humans naturally do, because especially in the cop world, most of the time for like low light shooting, we maybe get 2 hours a year training on that. Shooting around cars, most agencies probably do 1 hour, if that. Or injured shooter, maybe an hour, maybe 2. So you're obviously not going to be able to change what people naturally want to do in those situations with that amount of training. So it wasn't necessarily lowest common denominator training, but it was very much talking about human behavior. How can we work around that to our advantage versus trying to tell these people, no, this is what you want to do, when they're not going to do that. And we see that time and time and again in all these police and officer involved shootings. So it was a really good class. And then I got to finish that whole thing up with, I had to work last night for a cover shift basically. And there was a house party and a shooting, and I had to write a search warrant. I had to do all this crap. And so I was just mad because I was supposed to go home at like 2 a.m. And I was out till like 4:30 or so. And I'm like, this is dumb. This isn't even in my city. I'm just trying to be nice and trying to help the other guys, because I'm a detective, and they had all these patrol guys out, and we had like 10 different agencies showed up, and it was just fun. We had a helicopter, and they're like, who are we looking for? I'm like, dude, I don't know. We had like 100 people run from here. We had like 5 people shooting at each other. How am I supposed to know? If somebody's got a gun, maybe find them. I don't know. But we managed to we found the car, and the bad guys in the car had like, I think they said 2 or 3 pistols and like 2 ARs in the car.
Oh,
and it was a wild night last night. And so it was, and it's funny because it's not even going to make the news. And then apparently after I went home, there was another shooting in another city that we cover, and it's like, geez, summer nights, guys, they're great times.
Saturday, baby.
Yeah.
That was my favorite experience from a ride along I went with my brother-in-law. It was a summer, hot Indiana Boston, just literally flying all over the town. And then it got dark, and then it started to rain, and then it was the quietest night ever. It was like, so what? Like criminals don't like to commit crime in the rain? It's like, no,
Nope.
bad weather. Why would you go out there?
Yeah.
No.
It's a rain day. It's like you call the baseball game. Nah, everybody go home. We're not doing this tonight.
Remember, they're criminals because they don't like discomfort. They wanna go out there, get their stuff done, get on, have an easy life.
I can steal bicycles tomorrow. Okay,
Right?
We're gonna go to sleep.
Well, Tommy, you'd be really impressed. Apparently, USPSA had this nationals. It was an indoor nationals, which was a lot of fun. Apparently, because all the shots had to go downrange, and no sideburns for a huge chunk of it. But there was a guy, Keanu Sai. He shot a Beretta PX4. Did very well for himself, especially since he'd only shot it like 4 times before the match. It was 77 out of how many here? I can't remember how many people shot that thing. Let's see, 77 out of 481.
That's not. Oh, there's.
So
this is what
he did slightly good, but here's the fun thing: he beat all those other people with a gun that legitimately would be the only concealed carry gun you'd actually see at that kind of in carry optics.
Yep.
Right.
So all the rest of you people, you should feel bad about your life choices.
You said the IDPA, right?
It pretty much was IDPA, the way that everything was stop and go.
Oh. Yeah.
So the stages were suboptimal.
This was my my complaint is not my complaint, but my just observation is 20 years ago when everyone was competing for these gigantic contracts all over the world for like guns that could actually shoot 70,000 rounds and be all right and cost the taxpayers of whatever country or agency a minimal amount. We got the best handguns ever made, and all you need to do now is find a way to put a dot on them. It's like
it's pretty true.
There's a reason why a lot of us are still shooting 2011s and CZ75s and Beretta 92s and Sig Sauers and Glocks and stuff like that because they are the proven horses that were designed to go forever. These damn Sig pistols were designed literally to be shot and
by right-handed shooters.
Shot and put
by right-handed shooters.
You knew that. So.
Well, it's actually an interesting question. What outside of putting a red dot on a pistol, what was the most innovative thing that you've seen come out of a gun in the last 5 years, really?
Because the extended base pad market. Because we all of a sudden found out better ways to get more and more capacity out of the same magazine tubes. So instead of waiting for the manufacturers to come out with a 10-round tube or a 15-round tube or a 28-round tube or whatever the tube was, is that there is now base plates. And the funny thing that I still find absolutely kind of interesting to think about, well, holster market too, of course, with the Safariland SLS and ALS systems. Those things are fantastic. But the one thing that still, it's like you talk to people and they have no idea why we're limited to 140 millimeters. Like every single Shield Arms will make base pads. Everyone will make base pads. And people will you would ask somebody, is this a 140 millimeter base pad? And it probably is because it looks like it. But people will go oh, I don't know. I was like, well, that's why they're all limited to 140 millimeters. You know why? No.
Right.
Because if they didn't, they wouldn't sell any because it's a USPSA game.
Right. Well, I mean, like SIG has been trying to do innovative stuff, and they have. I mean, where they had that built-in comp that was right there, and Jared let me shoot that with his gun, and that was really cool. I mean, SIG's trying to really push the envelope on in terms of things, and admittedly, it takes them 2, 3, 4 generations to actually make a functioning product. But it's still
problem with SIG is that they sell it before it's done. That's it.
Well, that's the way that's the way basically all technology and computer, that's the way everything is whoever buys the first generation, you have to sign on the waiver that you're willing to be their beta tester.
Battlefield 5, anyone?
Pretty much. But I mean, that's kind of how some of that stuff works. But it's cool because I mean, I'm not really a SIG guy, but it's cool that they're actually pushing things out there and saying what if. And I think a lot of that's due to Phil Schrader, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is. Phil's
pushing
it forward. But...
Yeah, he's looking at the future and seeing what we can do. I mean, the 2011 market, I think Springfield getting into the 2011 market is a very interesting move because it's making the admission that the 2011 as a platform is a really good platform, and
Here's
if they
my-
can put together a firearm that can be sold at relatively the consumer level, understanding that people who buy this thing are probably going to have to do work on it, but it's like Jared's Dungeons and Dragons dice, right? Maybe you roll a 20, maybe you roll a critical fail.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
Well,
but I don't know.
It's just one of those things. Is that's where the market is. The market is in Palmetto State daggers, and the market is in 2011s. And so it's like both ends of the spectrum there. You're seeing go back and forth, and that's great because as more people enter those markets, the bottom end is getting immensely better, and the top end is fantastic. And we're seeing that with the dots.
Yeah.
You can spend $130 on a dot, or you can spend $700 on a pistol dot, and you're gonna find half decent options that will sit there and do it. But yeah, that is awesome.
Yep.
PX4, still one of the most vastly underrated pistols ever produced. Even Beretta probably doesn't even like selling it. And I'm so happy that TFB TV did a video with Langdon on the PX4 because it only made my compact's value go up. So
it's the PX4 it's exactly what you say. It's a very underrated gun that people
It's an Italian potato.
It looks potatoey, but people who buy them and they shoot them a lot, they tend to like them because they're very good.
If you wanna
that would be French.
Stuff a potato in your pants, hold it up with a Dominate Defense. Head on over to DominateDefense.com. You can check out and get all their awesome belts. Their new belt that I talked about a couple weeks ago, that is actually being sold on the Tier 1 Concealment website, so you can check them out and get that belt there. It's wonderful, especially when you're running a rig like this and you have no belt buckle sidecar rig.
Oh yeah, congratulations Eric Sale for winning the Black Arch holster gift certificate. Yay for Eric!
Yay!
Where do you win that at?
I just went through and random sorted all the Patreons.
Oh.
And I was like, and you win. Sweet.
Oh yeah, he gets a holster. So check out Dominate Defense. You can pay money and get a belt. Doing that stuff. Also, you can head on over to Precision Holsters, get you an excellent fast holster. Rune Tactical, get a
Precision holster to be nice if they actually made a holster for a Prodigy.
Send Scott.
As a left-handed shooter.
Send Scott. They'll fight it. There's enough of them. They'll do it. Rune Tactical, get +1 in your magazines. That it becomes very helpful. Very helpful when you do not have to do a reload or you're taking an extra shot. It's not good for Robert when he forgets that he's already made up 7 shots and you can't make up an 8.
I thought we agreed we wouldn't talk about that anymore.
But they're an absolutely fantastic product at an affordable price. Rune Tactical. Use promo code PARA10 and W74 guide rods. Help out our friend Kevin Isaac getting that front of that gun heavy. You're with your spring and guide rod needs W74. I don't know.
Yeah, it's that heavy front end guide rod on that that got him 39th overall at Carry Optics Nats.
Yep.
It's all the guide rod. He got 39th. Dude, he freaking did well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Really good job.
Good for Kevin.
Absolutely.
Oh, did you see who won the bill drill thing? 1.27 seconds for a bill.
Did you fly out there?
No.
Oh.
No. One of my friends, Riley Bowman, did a live stream of it, and so I saw that the other day, and I was clicking, and I watched it, and Isaac Lockwood did a 1:30, and I think the guy's name was Billy Barton, but dude, he got lucky. So how it was set up was apparently there was a side match, and whoever shot the fastest bill drill in the side match was allowed to, and apparently you could do it as many times as you wanted. There was like a 5 or like a 10 or a 20, I don't know how much it was. There's some dollar amount buy-in where every time you paid, you could do a bill drill. And whoever did the fastest that day
collect the money
would get to compete against last year's winner, which was Isaac Lockwood. And then how it worked was you had 6 attempts to do your fastest bill drill. And so Isaac did one in like a 117 or something like that, but he had like a Charlie or Delta, so they weren't all alphas. But this other guy, he did 5 alpha in the lower alpha and then 1 in the head box alpha, and everyone's like, oh, and that was in a 127. And
Wow.
so Isaac couldn't beat that. He did a 130 clean. And
I
so
wonder if
apparently
that's
yeah.
the high shot from the draw, and then you're like, oh, and then you start walking
Walks
them
it
all
down.
down because
Oh,
you don't go 5 up here, and then all of a sudden the gun goes off too early. That's the too much preparation on the trigger.
The funny thing
6
is, like, the
shots.
person who won that
Yeah.
thing, I mean, they actually won more than Christian Saylor, who won nationals.
Yeah, it was
They took home more money.
$3,000.
Yeah.
$3,000. Whoever won that side match.
Yep.
Wild.
Yeah. And I think that's worth more than winning the nationals.
Well, you have to have a 70 draw, and what's the math on that on the splits? That's like 12 splits.
It was fast.
That's Jared's splits.
It was very fast. What did who won Carry Optics Nats?
Christian Saylor won first, Nils won second, and Hetherington lost by a mic.
Oh, sad.
So sad.
Well, good for him. Good for Christian.
Well, now that Niels only took second in the match, you know the Canic's a terrible pistol. Why would you even?
I know.
It's terrible.
It's probably because you sold your Canic. If you didn't sell your Canic, he probably would have won.
I still endorse it. Fine pistol. Fine pistol.
What is Saylor shooting? He's shooting a CZ, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Let's head on over to Telegram, where you guys can ask us questions. We can do our best to answer them.
If it looks like it's going to be a while before you can have a gun made to your specifications because of supply disruptions, what would you spend your money on? Hookers and blow.
A gun
Good
made
answer.
to your specifications. So the question would be, do you already have a gun that you can use for that specifications? The other part is, too, it's like if you have any experience prior to that, you probably already know what your preferred holster is. And then your magazine pouches, and of course the other day would be dot and ammo. That's kind of what I would put on there, but I am very much getting less and less about specifications for yourself and more about what's just a damn good gun that I can just buy off the shelf and run.
Well, is the question like you ordered an Atlas Artemis and it's not going to be here for 6 or 7 months, and so you're just twiddling your thumbs and you're like, I want to shoot that gun, but I don't have it. If that's the case, what I would try to do is buy a gun that you know you could either resell well, or buy a stupid gun that you're just going to go around and LARP and have some fun. Get a single action, get a 1911, compete in single stack, or get some stupid gun that you can just have a little bit of fun before your fancy pants gun shows up.
I mean, I would say in the divisions that are available now that there's definitely options that you can get to which are super expensive and guns that aren't. So even if the gun is not the same as the gun you are going to get, it would not be a bad idea to get a pistol. Like, let's say if you're competing in carry optics or limited optics, a pistol that's $500 or $600 that you can put the dot on in the meantime, and that if you go to a match and the chosen one doesn't feel so chosen that day, you could easily grab the other one, switch the mag pouches, and do something else with the backup gun that you bought in the meantime.
That
fair.
Seems fine. I like my answer better.
Or
dear
MP5.
Robert, an
Get
MP5, yes.
Get MP5.
Get an MP5. Yeah, 100%. Get a 10-pound gun by the time you're done with it.
It's one division legal.
That kind of depends. I mean, mine's still a pistol.
Yeah, that's right. Take off the stock. Open.
Bam.
Let's see. Dear Robert, as a highly experienced indoor match director, will you please grade the stages from Carry Optics Indoor Nationals? Sincerely, Andy.
Survey says.
What's that?
Survey says.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, it takes a lot of work for the director of marketing to put together that kind of stages. And since USPSA doesn't actually care about indoor matches, and which is evidenced by the lack of classifiers, the lack of any kind of indoor support, Um, I got to give Jake credit for designing 8 relatively. I got to give credit to Jake for designing 8 stages that were all shot downrange, and you could run and stop and run and stop and run and stop. Joyce Wilson, she actually sent a letter of congratulations and said that they were going to copy that for their national match, and they were really, really impressed. And I think he actually got an honorary membership to IDPA. So, by all accounts, sounds like it was
I
a
think some of the IDPA indoor
spectacular match.
nationals with the props and the activators are probably a lot more entertaining than the USPSA ones that were brought up.
The
So,
I forget the name of the range in Ohio, but they have 8 of their bays are they have wooden side berms, and so all your shots have to go downrange. Now they had some stuff on the angle, but they would go into bullet traps,
yeah.
and so the point, so they're basically had to design 8 stages that just had to be fired straight downrange. The challenge with that is just looking at them, they're kind of potato stages, and you would expect that from somebody who doesn't know how to do that. But if you don't know how to do that, then why don't you go and talk to some? Because there's a handful of ranges around the country that actively are shooting all directly downrange. A lot of the California clubs are that way, and they have figured out how to make some just phenomenally excellent stages shooting everything downrange. These ones didn't really seem to have that vibe,
Yep.
but it is what it is. I mean, it's fine. I'm sure that they're going to learn their lesson. I can promise you that I will be using them at my indoor match because they're all going downrange. So it'll be really good inspiration for how to put some stages together. But yeah, it was an interesting match. I will say I was supposed to have gone to this match, and seeing all of the rain on day one, I'm really glad I didn't. I mean, I would love to have spent that much money to go stand around and shoot bag targets running through 3 inches of water. I mean, that sounds like a good time to me. I don't know about
Seeing
you guys.
seeing that did make me happy because I've had to do a couple matches in the rain, and I'm like, oh, other people share my pain. It makes me
Uh-huh.
happy.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, it gets bad rain when you start throwing the pallets out so you can address and take certain targets where you're like throwing the little.
Oh yeah.
You got the
Oh
gondola
yeah. We
out, you got the little stick, you're just swimming out there.
there was one of the videos. I think Freilich does all of the. I think it's Freilich, and if it is, this is the first thing USPSA has actually done right in. Well, this is the first thing USPSA has actually done right. They hired somebody competent to do marketing, and they the videos that they're doing are really really good. And there was one of the videos of the first day where a popper goes down and it hits into the water, and you see that splash. And I suddenly had PTSD of that match, Tommy, where we shot down Barry Still Open,
Oh my gosh.
and it was just like an entire frickin' lake. And we had to remember shooting that Polish plate rack, and we had to take those long sticks, and we're sloshing around in the water to find the stupid things.
Well, the one thing is as the plates keep
Jeez.
falling, they keep divoting up the ground underneath it, which makes the pit deeper. But one of
Yeah.
my fondest memories is putting the iron sights up because I think on that one I shot my PX4, putting my iron sights and knowing that I got a good hit as I was like transitioning over because I saw the fragments of the metal hit the pool underneath. Right?
That is cool.
Yeah, so you'd see the fragmentation like, gotcha. And
Very
just move on.
cinematic.
Yeah.
I will say though, I mean, all credit goes to the ROs who did their best to keep those stages alive. Well, all credit goes to the ROs who kept those stages alive, except for Danny Minner. Fuck that guy. But all the rest of you guys, you're all cool in my book.
All right, next question.
Oh yeah, we better move on. Let's see. What's your favorite 147 grain full metal jacket load data?
I always like the 3 point. What was I running for a little bit? Like 3.4 of sport pistol on a coated bullet, and then on full metal jacket, I was doing like 3.6 of like tight group on a 147, and that gives you kind of a solid 130 something power factor, high 130 power factor ammunition, and it It just works. Tight group on a Full Metal Jacket bullet they're kind of like a match made in heaven there. But definitely
They
on
really are.
the coated stuff, the Sport Pistol 3.3, 3.4. Really, it was a load Kenny Platt shared with me with some of the Gallants and Black Bullets, and that really gave me stellar groups and power factor out of my Berettas.
Yeah, 3.3 of the tight group was always a good setup. 3.4, 3.5 Sport Pistol, Winchester 231, HB 38, which is the same thing. What else? You can't get it, but the PB was 3.5. All very was all very good. I like them quite a lot. They're very, very accurate. The biggest thing that I have found is you have to keep the velocity above 900 feet per second. If you want the bullet, I think if you want the bullet to stabilize properly, it's got to be above 900 feet per second. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed. I've seen the bullets get a little bit janky when they start pushing underneath that number, and I'm not sure why, but I understand it's supposed to be just the stabilization of it.
Yeah, it's amazing what getting some speed on a Full Metal Jacket will actually do to help it kind of balance out. It's amazing like how 115 grains, once you hit that like 1100, 1150 margin, they really kind of sharpen themselves up a little bit. And so it's my favorite thing to do at the range now is not really shoot guns, but to literally bench guns and see what they do. I find it fascinating.
That is starting to get a little boomery, dude.
It's getting boomery, but it's just
a
like
little bit.
Have
That's
you
okay,
seen
but...
Tom's guns?
It's not bad, dude. I'm just saying it's a little boomery.
Jared, this one might be the last one you see one day.
Great.
Oh, snap.
Would you like to hurry up? Would you like to not limp for the rest of your life? That was my last line to Jared while I was making ready. Like we have these ideas of like red dots and pistol zeroing and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we forgot like, oh, what's the point of a zero if the ammunition doesn't go where it's supposed to go? Or what's the point of handgun sights if they're not, you don't know exactly where they're impacting at what spot? I mean, it's really simple stuff, but it goes back to the dumb stuff that you would kind of see where people got their guns out of the sights or the factory, they throw stuff on, and they're just like, I don't know where this is hitting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, your fault.
Well, I mean, I know for a lot of people, they'll run really reduced loads, and at the distances that we typically shoot everything, like 10, 15 yards, gun's accurate, doesn't need anything more. But when you start to push those things out to some of the bigger distances, I mean, even you start to notice it even at like 20 and 25 yards, where that bullet just doesn't have the stability. And if you increase the velocity on it, they just run better. They're more accurate.
Well, the one thing that you'll notice that too, if you go out there and you start shooting at like 300 yards with your handgun just for fun, every once in a while you'll have a good sight picture and a good press, and you'll see one 20 yards lower than it was supposed to. All the other ones impact and just land into a dirt berm, and you're just like, huh, weird. So it's the consistency of having exactly where you want. Now, of course, there's a trade-off. Like if you get less accuracy for a recoil pattern that's more nominal for shooting fast, then you can sit there and mess with that or tune the gun to that. But it's always the give and take. But at least
it always is. And I mean, fundamentally, what I always try and tell people when they ask about reloading questions, and a lot of this comes from the rifle guys who are one shot on their lead challenger press kind of thing, and they're trying to get everything tuned to this nth degree. And I'm like, with a pistol bullet and all bullets, accuracy fall off is on the far end, and that's where you start to notice it. And if you consider pistols, I mean, the distance that we shoot pistols, I mean, 25 yards is generally considered the outside of what we are pretty much going to do. Yep. So you need to make a bullet that's going to be really accurate to that point. And if it's accurate to that point, generally it's going to hold itself together, unless it's going transonic or some weird thing like that. But it is what it is.
Yep.
Next question from our good friend over at Manny Talks. Alex Mansfield says, I think there needs to be a bet on how many guns Tom buys and sells this year. I'm
There
going
is.
high.
Tom just doesn't know about it.
Without further, was it implicating myself and how close I might be getting to?
Yeah, nice try, ATF.
I'll let that one slide. Next question.
Let's see. I've actually I don't buy that many guns anymore, which
You
is
just
weird.
buy Shadows and then Potato Springfields.
Potato Springfields. Hey, stop mocking my Springfield. Right now, it's got a better trigger than your trash ass gun.
I'm not saying anything wrong. There's anything wrong with a potato.
No,
Fair enough.
It's just
Fair
a
enough.
potato.
Feeds nations.
Speaking of which, you should have gone
Poor
to
dirty
that
nations.
Over the Coals on Tuesday. They had it was a garlic parmesan burger. It was pretty good. It was
Ooh.
actually really good.
Yeah, if there are any people local who listen to this, there's a hamburger / barbecue joint in Holiday Mill Creek area.
It's in Holiday Mill Creek, yeah.
And every Tuesday they do a burger of the day with burger, fries, and a drink for what is it, like $11?
$11.
And it's damn good.
It's
and
really
you may
good.
see one of your favorite podcasters there on that day.
Adam Carolla.
I
was gonna say
Joe
Jared.
Rogan. Joe Rogan goes there every single Tuesday.
If you ever want to hear the Joe Rogan of South Dakota, go listen to Andy Erickson's podcast, because that's literally what it is.
The Joe Rogan of South Dakota.
I don't know what that means.
Go listen to it and you'll understand. He gets like normal people from South Dakota, and he talks to them. It's surprisingly really good. He's a great podcast host, but he used to be a radio DJ, so he knows how to just keep talking. But it's really kind of fun to listen to it. Let's see. Last question from Nate Osborne. Could Steve be talked into shooting a 2011 if it takes Glock mags?
The platypus.
Platypus. Also no.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that you would sooner find Steve Koski campaigning for Donald Trump than shooting anything that wasn't a Glock.
Wow.
Shoot what you know. I would. You've handled the platypus, right? Both of you've handled the platypus before.
Yeah, I shot.
No.
How was it?
It's fine. I mean, it shot like a 2011, and it seemed nice. The trigger was nice. It was a nice grip. I was actually pleasantly surprised with it.
Is the grip different? I mean, does it follow the what do you call it, 2011 or the Glock grip angle?
No, I mean it's still a 2011 grip, but it does seem to be a little bit more boxy.
Okay.
But I was very pleasantly surprised with it. I thought it was nice. I would change the springs up a bit just because I like my gun a little bit more snappy, and it was a little bit more pushy.
Oh, what are you doing in yours, Jared? Because I've got what is it right now? It's a 17-pound hammer and an 11-pound recoil.
You don't want
to. And that's what Kenny said, and I like that right now. I'm gonna probably go to a 15.
My 2011 is a sin against God.
I think it's like what, 8-pound recoil spring.
8-pound recoil spring, 19-pound hammer spring.
Okay, so you have the Charlie Perez.
Kind of, yeah. But I also kind of shoot like Charlie Perez.
Well, he's accurate.
I know he's better. He's significantly better than me.
He's significantly.
But I'm like a young, spazzy version of Charlie Perez.
You said, I seem to remember you saying that you liked the more whippy slide, and you said that the more whippy slide makes it so that the splits are faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find that it does the dot stays where it wants to?
Yeah. I mean, I don't aim, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Accuracy by volume. There's a reason why the logo's an A10 Warthog.
Yes.
I was ready to have the BS meter pull up when he's talking about shooting 12 and 11 splits and where the dot is at that current moment. I've literally seen him sweep across targets he's already shot and shoot again.
Did you see how they were dressed? They were asking for another one.
They're asking for it again.
Yeah.
Jared was running a train. Anyways, thanks for downloading, listening.
It is a cop thing.
Yeah, it is a any port in a storm.
She was a storm.
Anyways, thanks for downloading, listening, subscribing. We appreciate all that you guys do. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for joining us on Telegram. You can also find this episode, depending on who gets it done first, on YouTube or the podcast forum that you currently find it on in some unedited fashion, because we don't want to edit it because it just takes too much time, and we want to keep doing it for you. So anyways, thanks for doing all that. For Robert Wyatt and Jared Stapp, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life on a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Doot doot.
Oga booga strength. Remember, torque them as hard as you possibly can.
Then they won't come off.
Never come off. Not even when you want them to.